know that there are many famous quiz shows around the world that truly spark, well, something of a frenzy with audiences, don't they? Who cannot like the adventure of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Do you remember when that first started? We had a lady over here who actually won the million. It was front page news, as you can imagine. Then, of course, there are other stalwarts, Hollywood favourites like Hollywood Squares, or over here, Celebrity Squares, hosted by Bob Monkhouse. But one of the longest running and most durable ever quiz shows as one that's been going for decades. We're talking, of course, about the stupendous Wheel of Fortune. And now their co-host, Vanna White, is looking for something a little bit more than screen time. As ever, let me explain. Morning, Neil Sean here. How are you? Yes, a little bit froggy, a little bit throaty today. It's all the hay fever. Still beautiful weather over here, by the way, in the United Kingdom. I wanted to really share this particular story with you because it is interesting in many respects. You see, normally when you think back to quiz shows and how they were all sort of put together, it was always the lady in the duo that really had the lesser part. And in part of that was always the lesser paid. You see, over here we had a very long running TV show called Countdown, still going today, many different incarnations. My favourite period was when it was hosted by the brilliant Des O'Connor, although he pointed out to me he couldn't really do much longer than one series because he couldn't get excited about people simply winning a teapot. You get the picture. But over in America, Wheel of Fortune is huge news, still rates very big. And of course, recently, their major host has decided to step down after many decades at the helm. His co-host, though, is a very lovely lady who I've been lucky enough to meet called Vanna White. Done an excellent job and took over for a short period in 2019. And then now her daughter is part of the social media team for the show. So it's very much a family affair. But with a new host comes new problems. And in this 2020 world that we're all living in now, well, the problem is this. Vanna is looking for a pay rise, you see. She claims she hasn't had a pay rise for 20 years, while the co-host has had multiple pay rises. Now, they haven't decided yet who they're going to replace the original host with of 40 years plus. All eyes are on this particular gentleman, the American Idol host Ryan Seacrest. Been lucky enough to meet him, interview him on numerous occasions. Very capable sort of guy. Recently stepped down from another fabulous daytime TV show. I believe it was called Live with Kelly and Ryan. In my period, it was Regis Philbin. Do you remember that? Fabulous. I always enjoyed that. What's interesting now, though, is that Vanna apparently is holding out for the money. And this is becoming very big news simply because she's a lady over 60, still looks fabulous. But why shouldn't she be paid a better rate? That is the bigger problem now. And it really goes back to what we often say here on the show, doesn't it? It's about an age thing. We mentioned Ken Bruce recently, 70 plus, still raking in big viewers and big listeners, but sadly not necessarily being paid the normal rate of, say, a youngster busting through in today's modern society. As ever, I'd love to know what you think. Should Vanna be paid more? Should she simply be grateful for being in a job these many years? Or should she, in fact, now, well, pack up her cards and disappear? It's still big news. The Wheel of Fortune spins around and a new series is planned later in the year. But will it be with or without Miss Vanna White? As ever, I'd love to know what you think about the white stuff. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.